Hello friends, the only person in the history of Dota to make a co-op video without clickbaiting boobs in the thumbnail here, bringing you another Dota 2 video where we're going to be talking about a hero that is not only my current personal favorite, but it's honestly just currently the best hero in Dota. And that hero, of course, is Queen of Pain. This hero is by far the most played hero currently in pro-level pubs, and she's sitting at about a 52% win rate. At first glance, this win rate might not scream broken to you, but it all begins to come together when you realize that Queen of Pain is being banned in almost every single pub, and 50% of the time when it randomly makes it through, it's getting first picked. And still, even after all of those constraints are attached, she has a 52% win rate. That, my friends, is not even remotely okay. With this hero, I actually recently was able to rank up to 8k MMR for the very first time. And I think the biggest testament to how broken and easy the build that I used was, is that in every game I first picked, I played any role, including 5, and I built the same items and skills almost every single time. In other words, I'm genuinely convinced that this build will bring you some of the freest MMR you've ever experienced in your pubs. So, with that being said, let's start by taking a look at what I believe is the optimal skill and item build on Queen of Pain. So the skill build on Queen of Pain is start with Shadow Strike, max it out as soon as humanly possible, even against counters, because really, you don't need to play into counters. You can just use Shadow Strike on somebody else, you can TP to another lane, kill somebody with Shadow Strike. In my opinion, this ability is the main reason that co-op has seen such a resurgence. After that, you can max out the Blink if you are a support Queen of Pain, because you don't really have the levels to go for Scream of Pain anyway, and you're not farming as a support, so it doesn't matter. If you're a core, then you can go 1 point in Blink, and then max out Scream of Pain after you max out the Shadow Strike, and of course you're going to have enough levels that that is okay. You go for the ultimate at every single point that you can. Then at level 15, you skip, in my opinion, the level 10 talent and go for the 10% cooldown reduction talent. And the way that you do that is just by manually clicking the talent instead of using your hotkey. And that's how you can skip the level 10 talents. And the reason I think that's good is because ever since the 80% reduction to all talents, talents just aren't that good. So I like to skip them, get all the skills maxed out first, and then go for the 15 talent, and then go for the level 10 talent at level 16. You can go with the strength or the damage. The strength obviously is just better for being tanky. The damage is if you're killing a bunch of people and you feel like you already have enough tankiness if you're snowballing and have items. Level 20, 525 AoE Shadow Strike is one of the best talents in Dota. I've never seen anybody go for the 25% spell lifesteal, and if they did, it's because they passed out at their computer and their head hit the keyboard and accidentally skilled that. At 25, you go for the Scream of Pain, 1.2 second Fear. It is absolutely monstrous. It's so difficult to deal with the Queen of Pain. Item build wise, it's pretty simple. I always go for an early Sage's Mask if I'm in a side lane, because that lets you just infinitely spam your dagger. Then I will go for Urn of Shadows even before boots, because if you can get the full urn and you get an urn charge and then you Shadow Strike somebody, they'll die from full HP. After that, I honestly usually just rush the full Vessel, but in this particular game, I felt like I needed the boots. I was getting chased down by people, so I went for that, and then I went into the Vessel. Once you have the Vessel, you can start being really active. You build into Treads, because Treads are just a great item. Then, at that point, you can solo kill almost anybody. People start TPing away from you, and that's why you pick up the Yule Scepter. After you pick up the Yule Scepter, you can go for Lotus Orb, you can go for Lincoln Sphere, basically late game kind of utility items. The very first thing that I want to talk about is with regards to laning, and a mistake that I see a lot of people make that makes laning on Queen of Pain a little bit harder. Now, it's not rocket science. This hero is one of the best laners in the game, so like I said, it's quite easy, but still people make this mistake where they take a ton of damage trying to put their dagger on people. They just tank creeps and they eat crap. So basically what you need to do is just make sure that you are not issuing an auto attack command before you run in to throw your dagger on somebody, because if you do that, well, you press dagger, you run into the creeps. As you can see here, this exact thing happens, but it's only 2 creeps, so it's not really that big of a deal. And when it does happen, I immediately use the A-click trick on one of my creeps to drop that aggro so I don't take a ton of damage. And honestly, you don't even need to walk into the creeps in order to get people to run into range to get that Shadow Strike off. From this example, what you want to do is auto deny the creeps and make it it look like you are absolutely contesting every single creep. And what will people do? Well, the way that people deal with you contesting every single creep is they play aggressive. They body you. They threaten to cast spells on you. But you don't really want to body a Queen of Pain. So generally, laning on this hero is incredibly easy. You basically just play with distance away from the creep wave, where when you right-click your opponents, the creeps will have to run to hit you, and by the time they get to you, a lot of the time they'll reset aggro, and you spam your dagger. And you do this until the enemy team either has to leave the lane or they get low enough to be within kill range. Next, we are going to talk about my #1 tip for winning every single lane on Queen of Pain. Don't screw it up. Don't feed. That's literally it. I kid you not. I know that sounds like a joke, but I am 100% serious about this. You have to understand that this hero has some of the most ridiculous math on her abilities. They do way too much damage. She is way too unkillable. Her stats are way too good. Look at this squishy hero with 5 armor. All you need to do is make sure that if you need regen, you send it out. Don't be greedy. Oversend regen if you have to. Send Sage's Masks even if you need a second one. Send Mangoes, send Tangos, send Salves. Just make sure you have enough regen to spam your abilities, and the hero's abilities will carry you. You don't need to do anything sick. So kind of the early to mid game strat on this hero is one of the easiest of any hero, because all you really do is kill people. So you basically just want to be at every fight that you can be at, if reasonable. So when you have the ultimate, this is when I look to be aggressive about my rotations. I will basically TP in somewhere and say, hey guys, let's set up here. I will look to go somewhere where the enemies are, and I will kill them. If I don't have my ultimate, I will move my camera around the map, but I'll sit in a side lane, and I will look to defensively rotate somewhere. So I will not go set up on anything, but I will exert my presence in an area if the enemy team basically puts themselves out of position. It's not always easy to kill people without the ultimate, but with the ultimate, it's just a guarantee. So to me, it's a low risk and high reward to wait for that ultimate ability. Once you have the ultimate, I cannot stress this enough, just use it. Don't wait, just immediately go somewhere and use it as soon as possible, because it's not about getting kills. I was not expecting to kill that guy, this Wraith King. I thought he would have his ultimate, but it was more about me saying, hey, I have this thing that gives me power. I'm going to use it. I don't believe that you should be in this area, so I'm going to force you out of here using this thing that makes me powerful, as well as I'm going to psychologically train you that anytime I'm in an area, you can't be there. This guy's not going to come back here if he is, anything like Pavlov's dogs, and people are a lot more like that than you would think. So once again, now that I don't have the ultimate ability, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit in a side lane, keep moving my camera around the map to see if there's anything that I can defensively rotate to, but I'm not going to force myself out of position to make a move when I don't have the thing that I believe makes me incredibly powerful. So another thing that I can't really stress enough is that when you do have your ultimate available, it's not really that you need to force anything crazy. You don't need to go too nuts with it. It's more so you need to put yourself in the most aggressive space possible, but within reason. And if 3 heroes show up to you, I'm not saying you blink in and just ultimate them, but put yourself as far up as possible, use your abilities on them, waste as much time for as many heroes as possible, because what I'm saying in this game is that I believe that I'm strong enough to do that. They can't kill me. If they go on me, I'm going to ultimate them. If they go on me, I'm going to use my Urn on them. I'm going to use all of these abilities, and I'm going to pressure this mid tower. And once again, this is not about kills. This is not about objectives. This is about forcing the enemy team to do something that they don't really want to do. And you can see this exact same thing here, where Void Spirit is not looking to kill the Wraith King. He's literally just messing with him and saying, hey, you can't be here. I'm stronger than you. My team is winning. I'm going to make it so that you can't take this farm by just being here and preventing you from taking it. And that's exactly what I think you should do with Queen of Pain when you have the Sonic Wave. The next thing that I want to talk about is a concept that is not particular to just Queen of Pain. There are tons of heroes that will do this, but she is just one of the best heroes at doing it. And back when I played Tier 2 Pro Dota for Team Leviathan, for all you boomers out there, we referred to this as making the enemy team bleed. And this is something that when we played a lot of Pudge is really good at doing this, and so is Queen of Pain. So you can see here that we go for this pick off on Ember. We're able to get him because the Void Spirit has an invis rune, so he wasn't expecting the Void to jump him. And now all of a sudden, we are in this situation where the enemy team has 4 people, we have 5 people, one of their stronger heroes is dead. They are no longer allowed to be in front of us. They are playing way too aggressively. This is bad positioning. This is what CC&C would refer to as the enemy team is disrespecting us. So I see that Dragonite is flying to the right of this tower, Enchantress pops in at the top, and so I know that they're totally not in a good position to help each other. So I run in, I dagger the Enchantress. This forces the Centaur to run in and try and help and go on my team. He walks in and feeds, and now we're in a situation where they are bleeding even more, right? They're goddamn hemorrhaging at this point. And now I can just blink in and keep chasing, keep daggering because it's on a 4-second cooldown, keep chasing because blink is 1300 range, and make sure we get the absolute most from this possible. Other heroes couldn't do this, but Queen of Pain can do it because she has these ridiculous abilities to just keep fighting. So still, they're disrespecting us, and for this, they all die. The next thing that I want to show you is way less flashy. It's way more of a boring concept, but I cannot stress how important and game-winning it is. And once again, this is not just applicable to Queen of Pain. She's just really good at it. But the way that you continue to be incredibly active on this hero and to not have to go back to your base and defend from people split pushing is you walk to adjacent lanes. You can see that my team, they're all chilling mid. They want to fight mid. They're all gung-ho to kill the enemy team. I say, okay, just wait a second, guys. Let me get this wave. And so I just walk up, and because you have this blink ability and because you have Scream of Pain, which can 2-shot waves, it's very easy for you to make sure that the enemy team does not have this creep wave to work with. So at a certain point, generally when you're winning on Queen of Pain, the enemy team will not be able to fight you, and you hit a point where the enemy team just starts split pushing you, and that's why picking up the Yule Scepter after the Spirit Vessel is really great, because then it lets you run around and cancel people's TPs. So there's kind of 2 jobs that you have on Queen of Pain in the mid to late game, and that's number 1, in fights you want to get as many Shadow Strikes on as many heroes as possible that just completely annoy people, especially melee heroes like Dragonite, heroes like Wraith King, that it's going to allow you to kite them. You want to get your Sonic Wave on as many heroes as possible, especially heroes who have BKB, and then also outside of team fights you want to run around and Shadow Strike people in lanes. When they go to TP, you Yules them. You don't even need to kill them. Once again, it goes back to this concept of you are literally just putting your presence somewhere and telling the enemy team that they cannot be there. You do not belong, and I'm going to kill you if you think that you belong here. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and if you want to support your boy, make sure to leave a comment because it really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. In fact, I desperately need it right now because the hobos over at the local garbage bins, they have been leaving hornets' nests out there as kind of traps, so that way I can't just get in there and eat their rotten pizza slices. So I definitely need to start buying my own food. Speaking of which, shoutouts to Pro Guides for sponsoring this video. You can see this game that's in front of us. I actually played on Pro Guides after a live coaching session. They do something called Play with Pro, which it's very generous of them to call me a pro. Every Tuesday, Thursday, I do a live session at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then there's an hour afterwards where I play with viewers, and this was one of those games. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, or you're interested in some Dota content, which they have coming out soon, I'm not going to spoil who is in that content, but it's very exciting. That's their thing to spoil. You'll hear some news on that soon. But good stuff coming out there. I appreciate you, they appreciate you, and I hope to see you in another video.